Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I have the Kylin Vision goggles from KDS here. Let's just go over the specifications real quick. They're printed finally here on the box. Main thing is the 5-inch screen and the receiver 32 channel. It has a built-in LiPo battery. It's actually not built-in, but it's included. And it tells us the working voltage, the resolution, 800 by 600, so these should compete with the Quantum V2s. And then it has the ability to adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, sensitivity, video format. I believe that means it supports both, because I'm not aware of an NTS version and a PAL version, so I believe that means it does support both. And it does have a speaker and the weight of 385. And this is the front of the box. Sorry, I took that away too soon. You should note that the front of the box and the pictures on the website show a linear or a whip antenna, and mine did not come with that. Mine came with this. Circular polarized, which I did confirm. I put a flashlight underneath it. It is a circular polarized. It's a 4-leaf, but unfortunately it's left-hand circularized, so it leans this way on all of its little leaves. That doesn't work so well for me because all of my circular polarized antennas are right hand. So while this will get you going, the reception, even if this works great with other left-hand equipment, I can't validate that. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to switch it out for one of these famous $7 Amway antennas that you'll find all over the place. I'll note that the video footage that you will be seeing shot from within inside was shot while this antenna was attached. So just as you would get it, no modifications. Take that away from the side. You should note that the connection is SMA, so they got the right one on there. So let's cut right to my first impressions. When I pulled it out of the box, I was surprised. It was really, really light. I fly typically with my Quantum V2s with the upgraded sock, which is supposed to be lighter, more comfortable, which it kind of is, but a modified. And I also have the V2 upgraded lenses that come in the add-on kit. I actually have 2 of them because I wear glasses and I put them back to back. So those are pretty heavy. And when I pulled this out of the box, it was kind of a whoa moment. I was, whoa, these are light. And then you start to think, this is going to be really comfortable on my face. And it is. The foam padding around here is really nicely done. It's very soft. It's softer than anything that I've gotten in the Quantum kits. Long-term wear, you know, it looks like you can replace this. If you look here real closely, we've got possibly some screw heads, hexes that we can remove there. And we can pull this piece off, maybe get a new one or fashion our own, or just remove the foam inside if you're handy with a needle. This plastic is a soft touch plastic. The straps themselves kind of have a soft touch feel to them as well. It doesn't feel like off-the-shelf elastic like I've bought to do a modification to my upgraded sock. And it has a hold here, so when you make adjustments it holds here, but it also holds under here. And I thought that was a really good design. So you can see the slack there, and it maintains that slack, so you can make finer adjustments with that. The back plate or piece, it's some sort of soft plastic or nylon or something or other. I honestly didn't notice it on the back of my head at all. Let's take a shot here at the side, and we can see all of our buttons. This is the only side that has any buttons. This is our charging port for USB, and then the light. Have our up-down menu, power, volume, and up and down, and we'll go over those in just a moment. Underneath is where the volume comes from, and it does work. If you don't have anything connected, you get kind of a hissing sound. If you're old enough, you might remember the old TVs. When you turn to a channel that there wasn't a channel on, you would get a hissing sound. It's similar to that, but it's very soft. It's not very loud at all. Nothing around this side, and then we have a glamour shot here of the front again. I should state that before I get too deep into this, that these were sent to me by GearBust for review, so I did not pay for these myself. So you can judge for your own self. I just want to show them to you. Let's weigh them up. Let's jump to that. So let's just take a look. It says 385 on the box itself. Let's take a look at what it actually weighs here. Try to keep this in your view. Oh, it's wobbling back and forth. But I would say 375 would be more accurate. So 10 grams less, and I do have the battery inside, which I'll show you just here in a minute. But to give you some comparison, sorry, I turned that off. I normally fly now with the Quantum V2s, and I have the upgraded sock, which is lighter than the original. This Amway is a fairly heavy receiver, but it's got a DVR, so that's not really a fair comparison. I do have the battery here in the back, which is also, I believe, a 2000 milliamp. Oh, it's actually only a 1300 zippy. And I have 2 lenses inside from the add-on kit. And you'll note that I have my screen on the outside because I do wear glasses normally. And I've weighed this a few times, so be patient with me. It really is kind of sketchy getting it on my little scale here. So I have a weight of 445 grams. So a difference of almost, 85 grams between the two. But the KDS Kylin goggles feel much lighter. They feel lighter on the face, they feel lighter out of the box. I never realized how much 80 grams could make a huge difference. So that was the first thing I noticed. Let's turn it on here. I'm going to try to show you this as best I can. But we press on the side button here for a few moments. And it comes on right away. And we can see, press the menu button. Normally there you see at the top is what you see when you turn it on. So it tells you your appropriate information. There's no OSD. You don't get any information from your copter or your flying vehicle. This is just about the goggles itself. Let me hold this close. Can you hear there's a little bit of a hiss? There's a little bit of a hiss from that speaker. And if you look closely at that screen, you can kind of see the bottom plastics there, and you can also see the side plastics. That actually doesn't bother me when I fly. So it's something to be aware of. Gives you a little bit of an idea of the construction, but it doesn't impair our abilities to fly. And you can also tell from the screen it's pretty bright, and you have the ability to adjust that brightness. If we go into the menu button, we can see that that's our brightness. This is our contrast. There's our auto scan feature. You can see it goes through the auto scan pretty quickly. It didn't find anything, but we'll do that again here in a moment. So we can see our changes there. I'm going to put it back where I had it, which is the defaults at 53. Hit our menu again. We got our contrast. We've got our color or saturation. This is our channel. So we press up or down at auto scans. If we hit menu again, we can manually select our channel, which I think is a key feature. If you're stuck with auto scan all the time, then you're flying with others, you might not get your channel. So they added the ability to manually tune that channel, and that's the primary reason why I wanted to show you the menu. That's, I think, pretty important. Let's set it up and take a look at what the image looks like with something to look at. Okay, I got one of my little micros set up over here, and we're staring at the DVD cover of the 30th edition Breakfast Club, and here you have an idea of what the view looks like. And on the box it says 800 by 600, and I would have to agree. I don't have a unit of method of measuring that, but from what I see, I would have to say it's just like my Quantum V2s. I actually think it's really comparable, the view in my flight experience, to having the upgraded lenses on mine and having the screen mounted on the outside of my V2s. I was really surprised at how they set this up because I'm a glasses wearer, so on my Quantums I had to make adjustments in order to be able to see the image clearly. And with these, I just took my glasses off, put them on my face, and it was perfect. That really surprised me. When I saw that there wasn't any adjustment, I was skeptical that this would be something that would work for me. So if you're a glasses wearer, you're not going to be able to fit your glasses in here. I tried that. Unless you've got really small glasses or you do some sort of modification to actually put your glasses inside. For me, I have a fairly light prescription, and I was able to just take my glasses off and wear these, and the image was clear. Unlike with my Quantum V2s, I had to move the lens or the magnification lens all the way to close to my face, and then I also had to put my screen on the outside of the case. So they kind of got this right. I don't know what kind of lenses they're using here. It looks very similar to the Fresnel lens, but maybe it just is a little bit better. It doesn't appear from the construction to be real thick. In the second phase of my look at this product, I'm going to pull it apart. Let's go ahead and I will show you the menu. So this is where we can select our channel. So if I go up one, oh, we don't get anything. It goes around, 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 and it locks on. So that's pretty cool. Now this is where we can select the manual channel. and you can see that it's picking up the signal on multiple channels. And it also gives us a readout of the frequency. I'm noticing the channel numbers aren't consistent with channel maps I find elsewhere and that are printed on the side of my Amway receiver. So say we can't find our channel for whatever reason. We can go back through our menu, do the auto scan again, and it goes quite fast. And it locks right on. And if we power off, I didn't hold the button down long enough. So you hold the button down all the way through the little red bars. So we're off now. And it remembers the channel you were on. So it's kind of a nice, handy feature. Let's take one last look at it here before I show you some flight video. In the box, you do get a charging cable that you can use. I have a charger that I use with mine, but the charging cable, I actually didn't use this one, but I have one just like it. I did use that, and it worked normally as well. But what I wanted to show you here was the battery. I thought this was a bit unique and worth taking a look. That they've got a 1S LiPo in here that's 2000 milliamp. It's a 10C, and it's nicely mounted in there, so to speak. But the JST in there is really hard to get in and out with your fingers. I had to use needle nose, and you want to be careful. You don't want to squeeze the life out of it, but you just want to kind of wiggle it. Let's see, got to grip it a little bit and wiggle it out of there. So you can see I've brought it out a little ways, but it's pretty difficult to get in and out. So it's not going to come loose, but if you want to charge it outside of the goggles, that's going to be a little bit more difficult than you might like, but it's not terrible. Getting it back in is harder than getting it out, of course, as that's pretty standard. If something comes out difficultly, it's hard to get back in. You can also see from the top here that they may have plans for one that has diversity. And that would be cool. So we might look forward to KDS making a model with diversity. But there's no indication of that. So overall, I think the goggles are a great value. I believe they're currently on sale for $79. It's the second week of June 2016. The things I would change if you were to buy those, and the first thing that I would get is a different antenna. In my experience, this antenna had short cutouts. They weren't dramatic. It didn't go to a blue or black screen as though you got no signal. It went to a snow screen, so the signal fades a little bit, and then when you get out of range or you get too many barriers for this antenna, then you get the snow screen rather than a blue or black screen, which just kind of all of a sudden drops the signal. You get breakups like we had come to expect now. But I found that if I used one of my Amway antennas, my reception was better and broke up less. If they were to make a diversity model, that would be a nice step up. I don't know what that would cost. Right now we're experiencing a lot of humidity where I live, and I did notice that with not only these goggles, but any goggles that don't have a fan, you're going to have to clean the screen. And on my quantum goggles, because there's airflow that gets around the frame on the goggles, I noticed that on those, the humidity or condensation would build up on the backside of the lens. It doesn't happen on this set. They've got things sealed so tightly here that you just have to clean the front. It would be nice if we had a little fan up here, excuse me, but even without the fan, there's an added bonus that this doesn't have to be cleaned on both sides, because we wouldn't be able to do that without taking out screws and unmounting things. If they could add a DVR, of course, that would be wonderful. If they could add a DVR and only increase the price by, say, 30 or maybe even up to 45 or 50 bucks, I think it would put these goggles in a different category. For whatever reason, with the goggles, we oftentimes don't see DVRs. We see DVRs in, the Fat Sharks and Sky Zones and Walkeras. When it comes to our box goggles, we don't see DVRs a lot. We have to buy a receiver that has those. It is worth noting that there is no HDMI port, so you're not going to be able to plug these into a ground station. But I think the appropriate buyers for these are going to be someone possibly like myself that flies primarily alone, or just wants a second set of goggles on a good budget, I think if you can grow from that beginner stage into someone who might be flying with others, because it does have the manual channel selection, they fit really well. The one thing I noticed about the fit, while this felt really nice and soft on my face and the mounting straps held very well, my nose felt like once it got in here, and it didn't matter how high or low I had it, it felt like it was kind of squeezing my nostrils a little bit. And something I noticed was that when I wear these goggles, I fly with my mouth open, probably to breathe a little bit easier. But when I fly with my Quantum V2s, I don't experience that slight nose nostril touch, and I don't fly with my mouth open. So that's something you might consider. I've never been told I have a large nose or wide nostrils, but it could be that maybe I do. As far as cons go, I would say that the nostril area isn't quite wide enough, and a better antenna. But we know we can get a better antenna for, what, $7? But the nose piece, it's not a showstopper by any stretch. I still found myself picking up these goggles before I picked up my Quantums, and I actually was putting my Quantums on my kids, and I would fly with these just because they're so much lighter. It really surprised me that even though the construction is similar, that these felt so much lighter. That 80 grams made a dramatic difference. And I did feel like this foam and this material was more comfortable to wear, even with the nose flare, than my Quantum V2s. If I were starting again, and these were available when I purchased my goggles, and I was looking at Quantum V2s versus these versus other similar box types that I've seen on the market, $80 or $79, I would probably buy these again. I would probably buy these first, because the only thing these don't have that my Quantums have is a DVR. And that's because I bought a $70 receiver, which is almost the entire price of this, that has a DVR in it. I'm going to leave you with some flight footage. And I've got a little camera that I've mounted in here. And I've done some flying not wearing the goggles when the camera is in there. And you get a good view of what the image looks like. Although remember, it's a camera's view, it's not the naked eye view. Alright, if you have any questions or comments, leave those in the section down below. I appreciate any critiques you might have or anything else you might want to see in a future video. I will probably look at opening this up so we can see the construction inside a bit. So if we want to maybe take a peek at what kind of receiver it's using, we might be able to do that. The only other component I think would be of interest is the lens and the screen. And we can take a look at that in a future video. Thanks for watching.